Laura Cromer, City Recorder April Lamberson, City Clerk Lisa Baines, myself, and Grant Irons, and participating remotely is Vice Mayor Brandy Barrett Holcomb and Councilperson Katie Smith. So we have everyone but Christy Cantrell, who I'm told will not be here tonight. So we do have a quorum. It's good to see everybody. I hope everybody is healthy and enjoying this good weather as best you can. And as I say, it's good to see everybody. If you'll bow with me, we'll have a word of prayer before we move on. Our Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day and the many blessings of life you've given us, Lord. Thank you for the beautiful weather we're enjoying. Thank you for the good rain that you refreshed us with a couple of days ago, Lord. We're thankful to live in this community. We're thankful to have the opportunity to serve with these fine public servants and citizens of our community, and pray that you'll bless them and their families. Now go with us, help us make the right decisions, forgive us of our many sins. Amen. Okay, you got a set of minutes from March 29. How do the minutes look to you?
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the minutes by Hal Roberts. Are y'all hearing okay? Did y'all hear
I'll second
Hal?
that.
Okay. All right, I was official a while ago with the council person and all that stuff, but unless it hurts y'all's feelings, I'm gonna go with first names.
Second it.
Got a second from Jim Mahoney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, minutes are approved unanimously. I don't have any item of public business. Does anybody around the table, or anybody out in TV land, I guess I should ask?
Mike?
Yes.
Mike.
Yes, Katie?
I just saw a mistake in the minutes. Just this second. I'm sorry. It said I talked to Bob Morgan about moving the trolley, but it was Bob McComb.
I didn't understand what you said. I'm hearing you, but I don't understand, and it may be my hearing. Say again.
In the minutes?
Yes, you found something in the minutes.
Yeah, it said that I talked to Bob Morgan about moving the trolley, but it was Bob McComb.
You talked to Bob McComb and not Bob Morgan. All right, I'll entertain. You want to make that motion, Katie, to go back and amend the minutes to make that?
Move to amend.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Laura seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Anybody out there in TV land have any public business? Brian, I'll ask you to hold off because your first item under old business for tonight. Anybody out there joining us?
No, sir.
That's always a good sign. Okay, tonight, have we been open? And by the way, let me say, I have not yet heard whether or not the governor's order is going to expire Friday. I tried to check today. I have nothing. I checked with Mayor Hutto about 4:30. He has heard nothing. So I don't know what to tell you tonight, but I'm sure we'll know something before Friday. But had we been open to the public tonight, first of all would have been our police report. April, that was sent to them, was it not, last week? It was. Okay. Anybody got any questions about the police report? Okay, I will tell you that I've learned we've hired a new officer, a lady by the name of Allison Humes. So she is on the force now. I signed a check Thursday night. She had already worked a little bit, and one of our guys, our part-time guys, has apparently not going to go any further. But she will be on, like everybody else, 90-day probation. And I'm not sure what day she was hired, but I'll find that out. April, I'm sure, knows. Okay, any questions about the police report?
Did both of our candidates complete that program?
They did, and we gave them the raise as promised the next full week that they worked. They graduated on a Saturday, I think, and our pay periods run Thursday to Wednesday, so we started them the next Thursday. So we have more certified officers than we've ever had here before, that I can recall. And the most recent hire is a certified officer who formerly worked in Lebanon within the last year or so. Okay, next would have been the sewer report. The sewer report Dale has given us is a good report. It's thorough, but it's got some things in it I wish it didn't have. But obviously we are, well, I've got the wrong one. It doesn't make any difference. The one that's out for this time you have, and we have some issues that are that's going to cost us some money. You'll see the first one there at the sewer plant, and Dale was by here, I guess, Thursday last week to tell me about it. And Wascon is trying to, as he says, fabricate a replacement because there is no, there are no parts for that. The other thing goes up on Edna Grooms Avenue. We have had historically problems with that pump station. And the check valves, he says, are failing. Wascon's taking a look at that too. So I suspect by the time we get back here in May, we'll have some estimates, or we will fix it. I mean, once they know what they're going to do, we're going to have to get it fixed because we're down to one digester, and as you can see there, Dale says it's not in the best shape. He worded it a little different, but I'll clean it up a little bit. Any questions about that? Other than that, as far as I know, everything's running well. You will recall we had one event between the last meeting and this one where we got the very heavy rain. We didn't get quite as much as they got in Lebanon and Mount Juliet and out in the county, but we got enough to surcharge. So some of the manholes had water coming out the top, which is nothing but runoff surface water. And next would have been our fire report. And that, just had it here a while ago. Looks pretty standard, 46 calls, 31 in the county, 15 in the city. Primarily medical, no structure fire, at least in the city, 2 in the county. And nothing that appears to be, well, I shouldn't say serious. If it happened to somebody, it was serious, but nothing.
Ruptured gas line will get your attention.
I'm sorry, Katie.
I said a ruptured gas line will sure get your attention.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that was, but it was out in the county. So I'm not sure where that was. Always looking at city column first.
Yeah, sure.
So any questions about that? I did have some email communication with Chief Hahn today, and he didn't bring to my attention anything that we needed to act on or know about. So, okay. I look forward to the day when they can rejoin us as well. I said for Brian, he would be the first item of old business. Actually, I've just got 2 items, and the second one is not easy, not difficult at all, Brian, so I'm going to take it up first, and that is the ordinance on second reading last time, amending the budget for the fire grants that we got to put them in the, to put that money in the appropriate line items. So that needs to be approved on second and final reading tonight, and I will recommend that to you.
Make a motion we approve.
Second.
Got a second from Katie, a motion from Hal. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. And now we're to the oil change ministry, Brian. My second promise, I told you wouldn't take too long. I didn't keep the first one. Okay, I sent out to you some information where we gathered over there last Thursday, I guess it was, Brian, was that right?
Yes, last Thursday.
Okay, and took a look at the building. Mark and Pearl Hicks were with us. Mark and Pearl are members at Round Lick, but more importantly, they've been very active in our community, at least in the recreational leagues, and Mark is a gentleman who can build and wire and plumb, and so good man to have on the spot. Austin Floyd from the chamber joined us, and Bob Morgan and myself. So you see what the items we went over. I'll have a recommendation for you on some items over there that need to be declared surplus, and I'll get to those in a few minutes. Yes, I'm sorry. I need to look up, Katie. I'm not hearing you.
I'm trying to find that documentation. Do you know when you sent it?
Do I know
Because
what?
it's not sounding familiar.
Okay, we sent out, I sent out an email, and I sent out a one-page document that they had prepared called City Hall Building at 210 Public Square, and they called it a checklist.
I just
I'm looking
resent that
for
to
it.
Katie.
When did you send it so I can find it? And was it from your email or from the city?
I'm not hearing everything. I know you're speaking. I'm not understanding everything. Is there a way for me to turn this up a little bit?
I just resent it to Katie.
Oh, okay.
text
Laura was
message.
telling me that she just resent it to you
I have not seen that.
On text message.
on a text message, she said.
Yeah, I got it from Laura. I'm gonna look at it. real
Okay,
quick.
take your time and look
I
at
res-
it. Brian's
I
on,
res-
Brian's on with us, and he's
When did you
available
get it,
here to answer
Brandy?
questions.
I received it by email last week, I believe. I can look back and confirm the date if that will help you search, but I did get it.
And we met on Thursday, and so it would have been Thursday or Friday when you sent that out, Mike.
Yeah,
I
I think I
received
sent
it-
it out Friday afternoon, I believe, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yes, I received it on Thursday. Katie, you responded to it on Thursday.
Got it. I just couldn't find it. And I
Okay,
don't know that I noticed the attachment. Thank you.
while you're reviewing that, the discussions we had, the things that the church would like to do, in my opinion, certainly don't damage the building structurally. They will help, as a matter of fact, if and when they leave that building at some point in the future, and hopefully this will be a very successful program. But if they leave, if they can take things loose that belong to them, they can, but not. They will stay with us, and at the very least, they're going to clean up the bay. They're going to use the little front room there for a waiting room. The kitchen is going to need a little work, and then they've got a place in the back, and they're going to use that. Brian, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder or saying the wrong thing, but they'd like to use that if a single mom comes in and would like to counsel with the pastor or associate pastor or deacon or whatever that needs help, that needs spiritual or emotional help, and they'd like to have that building available for them. So that room. You see, it's not going to cost us anything. We'll move out some things. The biggest thing is there's a lot of what was it, Brian, that was stacked up in there? There's about 10 of them.
Yeah, there are some stage sets that are used for the train robbery. Some big frames with fronts on them that look like train sets. They use those twice a year, I think. And they take up quite a bit of space. And so we were looking for a way to either raise those up to the ceiling, store them up at the ceiling level, or to move them to another room. And I was working with Austin and the Chamber of Commerce to figure out how we can best free up that space.
Mike,
Yes.
before we go further, I had asked if there were zoning issues about having that go on in that building. Did we hear back? I know you said you were going to ask.
I didn't.
Ask Tom Brashear about there being some zoning issues.
Yes, I was, and I did not. I didn't think about it. And I was in a meeting with Tom this afternoon for an hour and a half, Katie. I'm sorry. It just didn't occur to me. I don't think there will be because it's in the central business district. I believe that's a B1 zone, if I'm not mistaken. Do you remember, Hal? You've been around a while too. But I didn't get the answer, Katie. That's a guess. That's an educated guess. Maybe not so educated. But I think it'll be okay. Brian was talking about they want to build some racks up in the ceiling, kind of like I've seen people do in their attic, and slide those things above. That bay is a little bigger than I thought it was. So I think they can do some storage on the sides or overhead and still do what they plan to do. Yes.
If it's the things I'm remembering moving, they're very heavy and ungainly because they're so big. I would be afraid to raise them up overhead. And often the people that are there to set up for the events aren't football players, if you'll take my message. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Need some help getting that stuff down.
Could any of that be moved upstairs?
No.
Is it too heavy?
It would probably be more difficult to move that. It's possible that it can be moved back in there. Bob didn't think much of the idea, but it's possible it could be moved back into where the old jail was. But we didn't go back there and look.
There's some room back there.
Yes.
I know that having moved those things with other people, it's a lot just to get them from the bay to the gazebo.
Yeah.
And so tucking them further back in the building, I mean, honestly, I don't know that I've ever been in where the old jail was. I'm not sure I know where that is. But we may be moving into the city needing to help set up on those days so that we have for sure the manpower and can get those things moved if we're going to tuck them away further.
And we can certainly have some crew available on those days to help move some things too. Yeah, since we're partnering together, we wouldn't want to just dump that on you.
Okay, so y'all could help with that. Brian would help with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. I know y'all are speaking. I'm not hearing you very well. Again, that may be me. Okay. There was something. Mark was going to look at the wiring, as I recall.
Right. There's a lot of dead wiring hanging from the ceiling, and then out, across the front of the building, there's a number of wires that appear to be dead that could be possibly removed or run through a conduit to increase the appearance of the front of the building. And also those wires have bled a lot of black soot and stuff from the rubber that could be cleaned off, and really from a city's perspective, it could look much nicer. And that's something that we can also do for you if that's acceptable.
And also the awning there is dipping in a couple of spots.
Yes.
Brian asked if they could repair that, and that will be of benefits to us as well.
Yeah, I think that's actually a safety hazard at this point. I was looking at it Saturday, and it's hanging down pretty far, and I'm not sure how much repair can be done because it's completely separated from the wall. So we'll have to take a look at that, but that needs to be addressed sooner or later, whether or not we use that building.
The city attorney did, I'm shifting gears on you just a little bit. The city attorney did prepare a lease agreement between Round Lake Baptist Church and the city of Watertown, where they will assume liability for what they're doing, and it is cancelable by either side upon, you remember how many days notice it was, Brian? 90 days?
30 days.
30, okay. But I asked Tim Davis to prepare that, so we have that as well. So what are you asking tonight, Brian? What do you need us to consider for you to go forward?
We just want to make sure that we're not doing something inappropriate or violating any kind of city codes by either making some additions to the ceiling if we need to do that, or if we determine that's the only way we can get those things up out of the way, or putting some paint on the walls in the waiting area to make it refresh it and make it more warming and more of a comfortable place for moms to wait while their car is being serviced. So make sure that you are aware that those are the things that we would like to do and that you give us your blessing to do that.
If we move tonight to approve the checklist subject to zoning, and if you find anything that you need to bring back to us or structural changes or whatever, return to us in May, will that work for you?
Yes, it will.
Katie, you had your hand up.
So I see on the checklist a question about washing the front of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't looked at the front of the building. It's brick, right?
Yes.
So are you talking about pressure washing or did you have another plan?
There's a mixture that you can get to spray on there, not with a pressure washer, just to spray on there that will dissolve a lot of the dirt and stuff, and then hose it down with a regular hose. It can also be pressure washed at a very low level, but I'm not sure that we would want to do that because
I'm concerned about the mortar and what kinds of problems
right.
pressure washing would raise for the facade.
Right. I agree with you on that. And we're pressure washing. If we have to pressure wash it, we'll have to get a professional knows what they're doing so that they don't damage the front.
With historic buildings, right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you on that. But I think some of the chemicals that you can, not chemicals, but the things you can buy at Home Depot that you mildew wash your house with. So you spray that on with a sprayer, let it sit there for a little bit, and then you just hose it down with water, and it's amazing how clean it gets. Now, where the wires across the top have bled, as the rubber on the covering those wires has melted and covered and stained, I don't know what it would take to get that off until we get up there to look at it. Don't know what it would take. So it may or may not be able to be removed.
Mike?
Yes.
Should we check with Steve Brown about whether there's anything at risk on the face of that building with cleaners? I don't know anything about cleaning brick.
You talking about the man that's got a one-way sign hanging from his building down there?
I don't know. I haven't seen the one-way sign.
Look down the alley there. He's got it hanging on his building.
Should we talk to
says dead
an
end.
expert? Should we talk to an expert about cleaning the historic brick? And
Well,
if there's anything we need to be careful about?
I mean, we can if you want to. It'll have to be the Historic Preservation Board. It can't be one man. And I didn't notice till the other day that he had signs hanging on his building telling what we can do with our street. But
I've used that washer before on brick, and if you just let it sit and you wash it with the regular hose water, it does not deteriorate the brick or the mortar.
Great.
It's amazing how
y'all talking about something I don't know anything about, Katie and Laura. So.
It's amazing how clean that stuff can get the brick too, without any pressure at all.
Great.
I do
Just
agree,
wanted to be
Katie.
safe.
Katie, I do agree with the pressure washer. Now that could get into taking off some of that mortar, but just with the regular hose pressure, I don't see that being a problem.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you.
I'm glad to know y'all know this stuff.
Mr. Mayor, are we going to need another motion to approve tonight based on the checklist?
Yes, I think that's what Brian's looking toward.
Okay.
So they want to be up and running in June. We don't
Well, I
meet
may
again
be-
until May 18.
I may be a little overzealous, but I motion to approve based on the checklist and that the things go the way that you think they should on that checklist.
I have one question about the awning. It sounds to me like Brian is willing, or
Yeah, I've been
Round
calling
Lick-
him Brian. I mean no
Sorry.
disrespect.
Round Lick is willing to fork the cost in any of these upgrades or cleaning, correct?
Yes, up to a certain
Yes,
limit.
unless there comes
Yeah.
this point. So on the awning, I did go by there. If it needs to be taken down, would that be an option? Because it may be costly to repair that.
He asked about that when we were over there last week. It will change the appearance of the building.
I don't want that.
I'm not sure that it doesn't change it for the better because it's hanging down, but I really would like for them to get their operation up and running, and let's make sure it's going to be a success, and then we can talk further about things to do with
I
that.
just don't want to see it taken down if we can help it.
And that is one thing Katie asked about, and that was for the historic part. We may not want to pull that down because we may not be able to put a similar awning back up. So there's some questions there that I think need to be looked at, and we probably need to ask the Historic Preservation Committee for their guidance on at least that issue. Okay, I had a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, is there further discussion?
I would like to say pending the zoning, and that they don't remove any of the awning without consulting with the council.
Are you okay with that, Brandy? Did you hear what Laura said? Okay,
I did hear and I agree, yes.
okay. And I apologize for not finding out about the zoning. That's on me, and I'm sorry, Katie. Okay, are we ready to vote? I'll keep looking over here. There ain't nobody over here. I'm looking to my right, and everybody's abandoned me. Okay, are we ready? There I go again. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody, any opposed? Okay, unanimous. I have a lease agreement, but I didn't send that out to y'all, I don't think, so I'll send it. We'll do that next time. But I'm comfortable with it, unless you just want to do it this evening. I didn't think about it today.
Yeah, I have that in the hands of our trustees that will be the ones to sign that.
Yes.
And hopefully I'll be able to respond to you tomorrow with if we have any concerns or questions about it.
Okay. All right. Well, let me bring up one other item related to that, and that is when we went through there, we found 2 stoves, a table, and a refrigerator that need to be declared surplus so that we can get rid of them. And it may be that we get rid of them in the only way we can and take them to the dump, but still they have to be declared surplus. They are in pretty bad shape, so.
So moved.
Katie made a motion to declare those surplus. Is there a second?
Second, sir.
Any discussion? We got seconds from Hal and Jim. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, let me go to some items of new business. Brian, you need anything else from us tonight?
No, sir. No, I don't. Thank you. Appreciate
All
it.
right, we appreciate you. Tell the folks at the church we look forward to this relationship.
Will do.
Okay, I got 2 or 3 things that won't take long, and then I've got one that needs to be brought to your attention. I won't ask you for anything tonight, but it's coming. We have to make a library board appointment tonight. And the first time since 1969, I believe, it will not be William Taylor. The state law changed 5 or 6 years ago, and they are term limited. They were allowed to serve 2 more terms after the term limits came in of 3 years each. So William has been our library board representative, I think Peggy Simpson told me, since 1969.
It's a long time.
He's been there a long time. Every 3 years we just renominated him, and he's done a good job. Look at the improvements that we've had for our library during Williams' tenure. So I have it is your, by the way, it is your election, but I have a person's name that has been submitted to you. I think she will be familiar to everybody. Her name is Catherine Hanson. She lives at 225 West Main Street. Her husband is Mel Hanson. She is a CPA. They have lived in Watertown for about 10 years. And I'm told she is an avid reader, a member of Historic Watertown, and active in community events and her church. So I have no problem recommending that person to you. If you have someone else that you want to put in the hat or whatever, you certainly can. But I think Ms. Hanson would be an excellent choice.
Do you need a motion? Because Catherine Hanson is a brilliant person for this position. Brilliant.
Well, yes, we need a motion and a second for y'all to elect. Got a motion from Katie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, got a second from Hal Roberts. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous, and Ms. Hanson will take office in July. Williams' term expires the end of June. And I think, I sometimes go down to the library board, but usually it's if they've got a legal question or worse, which doesn't happen often. But I think they meet every other month. But they'll certainly get in touch with Ms. Hanson, and I talked to the director today, and she was very pleased about who we were going to nominate. We all hate to see William go, and that is not a slight on anybody else, but he has been around. That's 51 or 52 years.
Wow.
And he's done a good job, and he's always looked out for Watertown, and I appreciate that. And he's a kind of a staple or an institution around here. So, and he can, after 3 years, he can put his name back in the mix if he'd like. Okay, got that done. We have Barney O'Gwen with the Car Club. They had a car show over here last year on Labor Day. And I had my doubts about whether or not that would work out good, because that was Fish Fry Day, Labor Day, Saddle Club Day, if they chose to ride, and a car show. But it worked out well. If I'm not mistaken, I think we had a kind of a competing car show going on the square same day. Y'all remember that? Where was it? Or maybe it was 2 years ago, I'm not sure. But anyway, Barney asked me, he actually asked me while I was sitting there watching the Tennessee Vanderbilt game in Knoxville, sent me a message. And I, not that it makes any difference, but it's a very nice gesture. They contributed $1,000 to the fire department when they left.
Yes.
So he's asked for permission to do it the same day, under the same circumstances. I checked with Chief Hahn today, and he's a go. He said that was fine, worked out well. So I'll recommend that to you to give them permission.
So move, make a motion.
Second by Hal, a motion by Hal, a second by Laura. Discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
What date is that?
September 4, Saturday of Labor Day weekend. And there's a fish fry and all kinds of activities.
Yeah, they did well that day.
They did.
Yeah.
It had pretty good weather, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Real good.
That September the 4th is also the Bluegrass Fall Festival.
It is.
Yes, sir.
Well, that may be what is in my next thing that I've got to bring
Probably,
to your attention.
which I think would be great to have it all. I mean, I don't see any
I
problem
don't
with
see
that
a
at
problem
all.
with it.
I think we can handle it. We're big.
Bring them all in Watertown, get them here.
All roads lead to Watertown, don't they?
Yeah.
You have
All
to
right.
cook a lot of pizza, Katie.
Yes. Did you say something, Randy?
I told Katie she'll have to cook a lot of pizza that day.
Yeah. Yeah, and lasagna. And was it plum chicken? Is that what you call it? P-L-U-M, not P-L-U-M-B.
No B.
Okay. Austin Floyd has asked me about closing the square on behalf of the chamber for 3 events. Now, you can take one of those out of the mix, the Jazz Festival, because we've already approved that. But they want to close the square on May 15th for the Spring Fling Artisan Marketplace, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. I sent y'all an email on this. I'm reading to you. I sent it to you today. And should be something there in front of you. And the other one is the September 4th Bluegrass Fall Festival, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I told her that we have kind of, over the years, limited the number of times we close the square because, when we close the square, it conflicts with some people's business. And they've been very, they've worked with us very well for 2 or 3 events a year. But, that's up to y'all, what y'all want to do on this.
With Serpro having made their parking lot so nice now, that helps with the parking. If there was some way we could even block some of that off for the, like if they're going to get their hair cut or needing to go to the bank or whatever, or maybe the small parking lot over there by the bank, block it off for the retail. Could we find a mutual ground here where we all agree?
Well, I would hope so. It hadn't always been possible,
Right.
but primarily where it wasn't an agreement is something that slipped up on them, and it wasn't advanced very. Grant? Yes, I'm sorry.
Has the chamber talked to Kim and Ann?
I don't know the answer to that, and that's where we got into a little problem before. If you'll recall, we just did it.
I recall.
Yeah, you remember that, don't you?
Yeah. I feel like it's a nice gesture to block off parking elsewhere, but the biggest concern was for the elderly who are going to use the gym for free or going to get a haircut. And so I just want to make sure that somebody has talked to them about it. It seems to me that they would have, but I don't know.
Well, on the May 15th, we won't have another council meeting before that. And I'm just sitting here thinking, this is just for what it's worth. Maybe we don't do that one, but consider on September 4th, as we've already done the car show, the square probably won't have a lot of people on it being a Labor Day weekend. That maybe then next month we can approve the Bluegrass Fall Festival for them from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Maybe as our own little compromise. But we don't have to do anything on that one tonight, but we do have to do something on the May 15th.
You want me to call Austin?
You can call her if you want to. We'll take a little break. Seems like everybody's dog's emailing me tonight. Some of them I don't even recognize.
I think so. Does the train run for the Artesian Festival?
It does. She told me that they would run for both events, train participation at each of these.
And I have not been here. I've not been to one before if we've ever had it. Is that where they would have like tents and things set up around the square and people selling their stuff? So to me, it would, for the pedestrians and the booths, it would be very important to close off at least, from Wilson Bank and Trust, just the square area. Because you can get around any other place by going the little back roads.
Yeah, I mean,
get her.
I'm always cognizant of the barber shop, the dress shop there. I don't know what you call them now, the modern day, and the bank especially, because a lot of people do their banking on Saturday morning. So I'm open. Did you get a chance to talk to Austin?
She didn't answer.
Okay. Well, somebody tell me something. Silence.
I make a motion to approve it, to close just the square part, not all of Main Street. I think they had said just the square area. I'm not opposed to that.
Okay, we got a motion to approve, May 15 and September 4. As we said, we've already approved the Jazz Fest. We did that last month. Is there a second to that?
Second it.
Okay, we got a second from Hal Roberts. Further discussion?
They need the people come and watch
I think the more notice the community and businesses get, they can let their customers know about it.
The May 15th won't be much notice, but there's some time to give notice there. All right, we ready to vote? I keep looking over. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey, Mike,
Hi.
Do what?
I'd like to abstain.
Okay, I got 2 ayes,
One night.
1 nay, and abstention. Brandy?
I would love to vote yes, but I would also love to know what our business people think about the decision beforehand. And I know we don't have that time. Are there any other options as far as leaving this vote open for recess at a later time to communicate with Kim and Ann and get
Well, if
their
you vote
thoughts?
no-
Is that even an option?
If you vote no, we'll still have time to work on the September 4. But the May 15 is it's on us. We either got to approve or let them know that we can't close it that day.
I vote to approve. I think it's a good thing. I think we need it. I hate that we get put in this position, such a short notice for business people, but I know these things happen.
I'm gonna vote aye too. That'll give us 4 ayes, 1 no, and 1 abstention. I will tell you, I have some hesitancy about the 15th, but I heard Hal say something just in passing a while ago that we need people to come into Watertown, and I agree with him. If they come in here and spend some money, that's a good thing. So that's approved. Okay, here's the main event. We have a 1987 backhoe. It died last week. It is now 33, going on 34 years old. We have certainly got our money out of it. I actually believe that we may have paid $15,000 for it new. And at the time, that was 15 we didn't have. And I think we put it on a 2 or 3 year capital outlay note. So Bob tells me it's wasted. Some of y'all may have gone and looked at it. We have to have a backhoe on standby, not standby, we gotta have it if we have a water leak. So we leased one for a week at an expense of $1,250 plus insurance and bringing it up here. It came to over $1,400. That week lease is up tomorrow and it's going back. We have talked to a company that will lease us one for $1,500 a month. So we're gonna do that for a month to give you time to decide what we want to do on a backhoe. Bob has a used backhoe that we can purchase. All of this has happened in the last 4 or 5 days. I don't feel comfortable making a purchase like this quickly. There are a lot of reasons for that, but and I've left my stuff on that, but let me go from memory. To buy a used one is $50,000. To buy a new one is $77,000. Now, we are in a much different position than we were in 1987. We have the money to pay cash for it. But I don't want to pay any more cash than I have to. The other thing is we're going to need to bid it unless we can buy it off of state bid or off somebody else's bid. I believe the $77,000, and it's a little more than that, but it's no more, it's not 78, is on state bid. which means we would not have to go through the bidding process. We beat Baxter 4-2. We beat Upperman. Last text I had was it was 3-2, and we were taking on water, but we survived. And the other thing, I had Danielle at my office today get with the finance office for the county and find out how I can look at bids that other counties have. In other words, if Unicoi County has bought a backhoe last year and they got a good deal, it's got what we want, we can buy the same backhoe without having to bid. So I don't have that information yet. I'll try to provide that information to you between now and May. We'll either need to make a decision on May 18, or we'll have to bid it. And if we have to bid it, it takes longer than from now to May 18. We may have to lease for another month. One thing I would like to look at, and I had a local businessman here in town that does a lot of work with cars and tractors and stuff, but not backhoes. He said, you may want to think about leasing it because they could build into the price any problem you may have with it, rather than you having to get it repaired. The other thing he said was a new backhoe was going to have, like a new car, a lot of bells and whistles on it. And the more bells and whistles you have, the more likely your bells and whistles are to a bell or whistle to go out. And then not everybody can work on those. So I wanted to update you on that. The expensive lease is going back tomorrow. The other one is coming in hopefully tomorrow, and we'll have that covered for the foreseeable future, at least for the next month. And I'll gather as much information as I can to get to you about these backhoes, so that it's going to be a major purchase. And even if we lease it, it'll be an ongoing expense, monthly and yearly, but it may be the best way to go, and perhaps a lease purchase agreement. We'll just have to look at everything. But that's a pretty major decision, and I want you to have all the information I have before we make a decision. Any questions on that?
If it'll last as long as this one, why, it'd be worth it.
Well, if it lasts that long, Hal, the ladies will probably live to see it. Me and you and Jim Mahoney will be gone.
On the used,
33 years, Jim. You think you got 33 years left?
I started to say that backhoe's been up here as long as I have.
It's been here a long time.
on the used one, were you just comparing the price, or are you looking at possibly us thinking about purchasing a used one?
No, that was purchasing the used one.
Okay, so by the next meeting, if Mr. Morgan's found one that he wants, can he bring some details and specs and your recommendation and things like that on it?
He can, but it's gonna have to be off somebody else's bid or whatever, because otherwise we got anything over $15,000, we have to competitively bid. And then that means we gotta decide what we want. So there's a lot of things here to figure in, and realistically, we may be looking at 2 months of lease while we look at this, but at least a month.
We don't have any choice.
No, we don't. You know, you have a water leak tonight, you want it fixed tonight.
Yeah.
And Bob said they got called out Saturday to use the leased one. Leased one. So.
Mr. Jennings,
Yes, sir.
I looked at both the backhoes they have up here, and the second used one they had by Cat, the Cat backhoe, it had low hours on it, and it's only like 3 or 4 years old. It had like, I think, 33 hours on it, which is not much for a piece of equipment. Needless to say, the old backhoe had thousands of hours on it. And looking back, when you replaced parts on the old backhoe, you redid an engine.
Yep.
The engine was supposed to come with a warranty, but it didn't quite work out that way. And there was like $10,000 that was put into the new engine. I don't know how long ago that was, though.
I can't tell you because I don't even remember that. I don't question what you're saying. I just don't remember it.
I went back that far.
Well, yeah, with the exception of Laura, this side of the table around to the center goes back quite a ways. One of those down there, Jim, Bob told me this morning it didn't dig as powerfully as the others. He said he could make it work.
Yeah,
but-
the cat.
The one down there below the building next to the heirs,
Okay,
I didn't like it. The one up front,
okay,
I think is more powerful and more what we need.
okay.
I believe you talked about the Caterpillar.
Well, y'all go by there and look at him. Anything he brings in, whatever comes in, go look at that.
I saw what we rented.
Yeah. We probably don't need to discuss too much openly.
That's enough.
Yeah. Okay, anybody have any questions about that? All right, the good news is the budget report, we're still running very well, and everything's looking good. The most recent budget report we had was April 7th, and the Parks and Recreation didn't show any of our baseball team sponsors other than $350. But April tells me that between them and today, another 7,000 has come in. So my concern about that fund is over right now. We were down $1,000. Now we're up about 6,500. And then that fund itself doesn't get over 100,000. So we operate on a tight budget there, but no city tax dollars in there. The moral of that story is buy hamburgers and Cokes and ice cream, and even if you're passing by here and you don't have anybody playing ball, swing through and get you a hamburger. Bob's a pretty good cook. If you like grease, he's a good cook. Yeah. No, yeah, he'll give you a meal. Next meeting is May 18. I'm a little hesitant to say that because we've had to reschedule the last two, but that's okay. Everybody here is public servants and have other things to do, and I certainly recognize that, and I'm not complaining at all. We will have a ribbon cutting here at the winery May the 7th, a Friday at 2 o'clock. Isn't that right? And they have invited the mayor and all the council persons to attend. And then they're going to have a big opening for the public on May 15, I believe. Was that right, Lisa? April, okay.
I was down there and he carried me through it and showed it to me. They spent a lot of money on that.
They have. That's a great big
It's-
building.
Yes, and it's really nice.
It is.
Yeah, they've done a
And
good job.
they're nice people.
Yeah,
And I believe they'll do what they say.
yeah.
My concern to them was, the people here have made a decision that they want wine and alcohol and beer, and that's fine. I don't want drunks on the square, and they promised me we wouldn't have them. And that's good enough for me. And then I got something, and you may have gotten it too, but it came from Ray Render in Congressman Rose's office. And Comptroller Jason Mumpire, several of our senators and representatives, including Mark Pody and Clark Boyd, are going to be holding a roundtable discussion on May the 11th. I believe that is a Tuesday at the Expo Center from 1 to 3, and they're going to talk about what we can do with the COVID money that's coming down the pike from the Congress passed it about a month ago. They're going to tell us or talk about what we can do and what we can't do. So I'm going to try to attend that, and nobody over there will be able to. But anybody that can, it'd be great if you could. Yeah, Jim?
Are you speaking of the money that was set aside for infrastructure?
They hadn't gotten to that yet, I don't think, have they? Isn't that the next?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. There's so much floating around out there. But that's the one, I think, Jim, whatever they called it, that I've been told that 441,000 was designated for us.
Right.
So I'm anxious to see how we can spend that. Yeah, you know what my hopes are.
Mine too.
All right, that's all I have, so I'm going to go around the table, and since you ladies are not at the table, y'all have to wait. Y'all are at the kids' table. So we'll get back to you here in just a minute. Hal?
I've got a couple of things. We need a box grader to work on our fields with. We're trying to do that with a backhoe, leveling the fields up, and we can get a box grader for probably $200 or less to hook behind the tractor,
Yeah?
and we can go around and smooth those fields up.
You
where
talking
the-
about down here?
Right.
Okay.
Where the water is washed and it's a little ditch and stuff.
Yeah.
We can grade that and Bobby and them can do that and, instead of trying to do it with a backhoe.
Is that like what Sarah puts on the back?
It's a little box, yeah.
When she drags the
Yeah.
field? Okay.
And, another question I have, do we have any ordinances, anything against signs on the highway?
Hal and Jim may have to help me with this, because I think this may have come up during a previous term of his. We have talked about that for years, but I don't think we ever did anything because businesses, some people want it gone, but some businesses don't want to be sign regulated.
Sometimes we got some pretty ratty signs on the stuff up on the highway.
We,
And I just wondered if we got any kind of ordinance to stop that. I mean, I don't mind anybody putting a sign up, but they can put a nice sign up that, it's gonna be, is represent the city of Watertown.
Well, I'll have to check with Tom Brashear on that. I'm sorry. I'll have to check with Tom on that, but I'll share your concern because I'm going to do what I promised Katie I'd do, and I didn't, but I'm going to do that tomorrow. And so I'll put that in an email to
I got
him as
one.
well.
I got one more thing.
Well, let's go back. You want to do that box grader?
Yes, I would like to make a motion, we buy one.
Okay.
We can buy a used one if you have to, it won't take that much, but
Well, let me,
we're gonna keep our fields, so we're gonna be using it for years.
and we're ordering 2 loads of dirt.
Yeah.
I've had some complaints about the dirt not being there, and my response was, in a
Beginning
kind
to
way,
wash
is
out into the outfield.
take that up with the Lord. When the water came, we couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But Bob's gonna order us 2 loads of dirt. It may be after the season before we put it up. Yes, Katie?
I just wanted to second the motion to make the purchase.
I'm-
Didn't he make a motion?
He made a motion and you're seconded? Okay. Got a motion and a second, and I've always heard if you got the horse sold, you better do it. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, and I'll check on the signs for you. Now, what was your third thing?
Do we have an ordinance here against, dogs in town, I mean, vicious dogs? Don't we have some kind of ordinance? Pit bulls.
That came up a couple of years ago, and then in the late 90s, we passed it on first reading. People raised so much cane about it, our minutes don't reflect that we ever passed it on second reading.
We've got one in town now, and he's running loose a lot.
Call animal control in Lebanon and tell them.
Okay.
We
I just wondered
we
if we had
contribute to their
anything on that.
budget, so they will, animal control director is Terry Scruggs' wife, you know Terry, and, she'll come up here.
Okay. Well, Kenneth Wade Givens asked me,
Okay.
and it's, where he bought his house, I can't think of the guy's name.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
They've got a little female pit bull, and they let it out, and I think it got after Kenneth Wade mowing the yard. And he come over and asked me, did we have an ordinance against pit bulls?
I don't think we do, Hal.
I told him I didn't know, but I would check.
We passed it on first reading, and that national organization, you remember that, Jim?
I do.
For, that worships pit bulls, and I say that facetiously. But they raised so much cane, and we had people in here, this was full one night, saying, don't do anything to the pit bulls.
Okay, that's
I
all.
do remember that for some reason, but I can't remember a lot of things. You good,
I'm good.
Jim?
Mr. Jennings, we're in a busy season now for the parks and everything.
You ain't kidding, I'm in a busy season for
Years
everything.
ago, when I was on the council, we didn't have a lot of problems with traffic and the speed on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
But that's beginning to become a great big problem, and I didn't think I'd ever see a traffic jam in Watertown. But there are traffic jams in Watertown now.
Yep.
Especially during the morning rush hour and the afternoon rush hour when the high schools get out. We need to think about some way to slow the traffic other than the caution light that's up. Especially at the Statesville Road area. I give it a lot of thought. I thought maybe we might throw out to the state about putting up a traffic light there.
You wanna go after them again for that?
I would
We
like
tried
to
that
go
about
after them again for that.
15 years ago, okay.
Tennessee Department of Transportation, we can handle it.
A lot more traffic now than we did 15 years ago.
It's real bad at State Road down there.
It is,
In the
and somebody's gonna
morning
get hurt.
times, And the way the kids pull out, because they, they want to jet in front, and nothing against the kids, I mean, I've done it. Because people are flying down the
Take
interstate,
chances.
you think you can go, and then you realize you gotta step on it, so I agree, it is dangerous in the morning time right in that area.
I hear complaints occasionally about people trying to get out right here.
Yeah,
To
it's
close
over
the
here
business.
too.
Right, right.
Both
But
places.
also, we've got.
Two of them
people
sitting back
cutting-
there.
We have people cutting through, over by the optics building. They're not wanting to come all the way around, and they're wanting to cut right between the house and the optics building, and then cut in front of traffic, and that's becoming, and our cops are out a lot at dark, because I hear them constantly.
They're
But
out.
I have to agree, living right here in town, I don't see them during this rush hour morning.
Okay. I'll pass that along. Katie, Grant said you had a comment?
Where are they talking about in particular putting a light?
Where the flashing light is now, you'd be talking about making that a permanent.
Oh,
That's
I
correct.
thought we've done that. We've gone for it in more recently than 15 years ago because I pushed it.
Yeah, we've asked, and they always tell us we don't have the traffic count. And the first thing they'll do is come up here and stretch that wire across there and do that. But yes, I'll go back to them, and y'all too, call Senator Fody or Representative Boyd and tell them we'd like to have that.
How
So-
long do they normally
Yes, Brandy?
How long do they normally monitor when they come and check for the traffic flow? Is it just one day? Is it a Sunday afternoon? Do they look at it for a week?
They used to leave it
Because-
for a week. I don't know what they do now. I have an ex-brother-in-law used to do that before he retired. And he went all over the state putting down that wire, and he'd hang out for a week and pick it back up.
And I also recommend they don't do it during the summer, because that's not when our biggest issue is. We need it
Okay.
during the school session.
Okay? Yes, sir.
The biggest problem we had before with getting the caution light put up was we had to foot the electric bill for the caution light.
Yeah, and we've been doing that.
Yes, uh-huh.
And
So,
we have to maintain it, we have to do the maintenance on it.
But I'm not really sure, well, actually, there needs to be a caution light on both ends before you run into the 45-mile zone.
Well-
And people would pay more attention, I do think. I know when I go up in Kentucky, you got caution lights all over the place, and I got to keep off the throttle when I'm on the Harley.
Well,
All
maybe
right.
just put caution on the ground even, that would.
Well, yeah,
help
there's
our
caution
cause.
lights, like the county has out on,
Oh,
right.
yeah. Y'all share that with the state senator and state representative, because that's where we'll have to get the push.
We'll work on
to
traffic
get it
light.
done. Yeah. Let me say one other thing, you jogged my memory there, and before I go any further, is Officer Willis doing our school traffic? Who's doing it?
It's not, we hired.
No, there's somebody out there.
School site, okay. I got a Facebook message this afternoon about 4 o'clock from a teacher that wanted me to thank, and Don will appreciate this, the elderly gentleman that was handling the traffic over there, and said he was doing a wonderful job. Said he even waits for the faculty to leave. He helps them get out.
Yes, he does wonderful. He stays in the morning for those late people that would be rushing, which I think is great. Stays
Okay.
for them to make sure they're getting to school safely, and even in the afternoon, he does a wonderful.
So he is a school crossing guard. Well, shoot, I was ready for us to take credit for that one. Okay, well, that's good anyway. The work's been done. Okay. All right, what else you got, Jim?
That's all, Mr. King.
Well, that's a good one. Laura?
I've been approached by, I think, 2 city people that have asked for more police presence during the school zoning time, or not zoning, but the school times, during the morning and afternoon. Kids driving crazy on the highway and on Main Street. honestly, I haven't seen it, and I'm in that area both of those times, but I
You're
did
talking
have,
about while people are going to school in the morning and
in
getting
the
out in the
afternoon, yes, sir.
Okay,
But I have, I have not seen it, but I have had
well,
two
obviously,
members of the community ask for that.
somebody has, obviously, or they wouldn't ask about it. I'll share that with our police department. Where in particular, or is there a particular place?
I've not heard a particular place.
Okay,
Of course, I'm just going from a 1 mile radius myself.
okay. I'll pass that along. Anything else? See it? All right, Miss Katie, if you were here, you'd be the first one in line. And so, you're on.
All right, I had to get my technology squared away. Still looking for a sewer project update.
Y'all interpret it. Not any further along.
Is that, I'm feeling concerned
Were
with the
you-
deadlines in. Are we meeting our deadlines? I think we're not.
Not that I know of, but they fund that every year, Katie. It's a revolving loan fund.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing. So I'm talking about where are we in the timeline of the project itself?
With the state,
With the whole sewer rehab plan that we have laid out for us.
okay, because we combined it, they gave us till 2025 to get that done. Okay, so we're not in any danger of that, but we're certainly not waiting for that to happen. I thought you were talking about the funding part.
And we haven't heard anything about the funding?
No, I don't. But I will tell you something else that, if you don't mind me, you've asked about this before, and y'all saw some of the emails between Mr. Moody and myself about meeting about the property out there, and I sent his potential dates to Tom Brashear, and I'm waiting to hear back, and we'll schedule that meeting. So I'll have something to report to you at the next meeting on that. That's a
You know,
little
I
bit
was
away
gonna-
from what you were talking about, but I know you've asked about that before.
I was going to bring it up again.
Oh, do you have that on your list?
I sure did.
Oh, okay.
I've been for many, many years motivated for tech plating to get off the square with the risks of explosion and fire and right behind the library. It would be great for it not to be there. I'm concerned about what will be left even when they move away, right? Is another building, another business going to come in there, or is that property going to become city property? And are there cleanup fees?
Well, there are a
we'll
lot
have
of
to fix.
issues that'll have to be discussed. Do they wish to be out in the industrial park and keep their place here, or are they going to sell it to somebody, or what are they going to do? We have had discussions over the last 20 years with, or so, maybe longer, with Dick Curl when he ran it. And Dick and I would sit down and talk every 3 or 4 years, but he always wanted our land and money. And said, something's wrong with that. If I'm selling land, I don't give you money. And we never got off that. Now, I sense from Mr. Moody, I sense a different direction. Let me put it that way.
Well, he asked how much we would want for the land. That suggests you're right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to him. And I want Tom to
Okay.
be there to answer his questions about what he can do and that type of thing. So Tom will do that.
Okay.
I'm volunteering Tom's time, but he'll do it.
Nope, that's it. Oh, the trolley.
The what? The trolley?
The trolley?
Yes, there is some interest from the chamber in making that work. And Austin Floyd and I talked briefly about it when we were over on the square that day, but I really didn't have time to get into the discussion on that day because of having to be somewhere at 9 o'clock. But the chamber is interested in fixing up the trolley, or so they say. Let me put it that way.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
I received an email from a Liz Warren about a community outreach project. I was curious if anyone else on the council received the email and if anyone else knows any more details than I do other than a community outreach and that I was contacted as the vice mayor. So I'm assuming it was a council contact. And they referenced the email that I use for the city council as opposed to my
Laura
email that I
held her
use with my
hand up.
job.
What-
So
And others, that sounds vaguely familiar to me, but I don't.
It says,
I was just curious if you knew on whose behalf she's on, who she's speaking for, and what that may be. It seemed that it was to the city council.
What can you add? I don't have anything to add to it at this point in time.
Mr. Mahoney also got it. It just says that we are looking to host an event in Wilson County. The details are below. I would like to, let's see. I'm reaching out to county and city officials, small business owners, Cumberland, and others to join. Event detail. It gives
Yeah,
the
I got
detail,
the
but then
email.
it doesn't really say
Yeah, that's where I was a little.
what they're wanting to discuss. It's at the Don Fox Park on May the 14th. So do you know more about it? I think it's what Brandy's trying to say, like, what
Yeah,
I
meeting
don't.
is this? Okay.
The 14th would be on a Friday. I don't know anything about that.
and maybe I can just reach out to her and ask for more details and what organization she's representing.
Yeah, if they don't have their details yet, they're 3 weeks and 3 days away from the event, the date. Or 2 weeks and 3 days event.
It just says for a bit of food, conversation, and camaraderie. But it doesn't say really what the meeting is about. And I'm like you, Brandy, I would like to know a little bit more. You know, things like this are good when you get people together. But if there's not an agenda, it's not always good.
Well, and if I don't know, if I'm showing up for an event that I may or may not look like I'm in support of, I just want to know
Exactly.
exactly, what the event is before I show up. And
Right. So if you reach out to her, can you kind of let all of us know?
will do.
Thank
And
you.
likewise to the rest of you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry I wasn't more help on that. Anything else? Was that a no? No. Okay.
I'm good. That was my only question.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Anybody on the public joining us want to know anything? Okay. Unless y'all have something that we've forgotten, I'm ready for the most famous motion. Got a motion and a second. All go home or wherever you are and enjoy
Bye,
the
guys.
evening and be safe. Good to see everybody.